Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today we have a few outdoor projects. It's a little windy. I'll do my best to explain to you what's going on, but I am in painting clothes because we are going to paint some fences, plant some cabbages, plant some peas. Let's get started. So all year long, but especially during the spring, I tend to have 4 or 5 projects going at the same time. So this is right behind the chicken coop. This is the area where I'm going to be planting some partial sun, partial shade loving flowers. And so I wanted to get the landscape fabric down and get the edges done with the wood chips to support the moisture retention along the arborvitae. And then these are a second project. So we built our water tower collection system, and right now I'm in the process of leveling out the ground around the house where it's going to go. But my neighbor cut down some fence panels to replace them. And I thought, well, this is a really good way to kind of hide the blue barrels. So I grabbed their old fence posts and I painted them black, and I'm letting them air dry in the sun while we are planting on this day. Now you can see that the camera's shaking a little bit. It was super windy on this day. So I just put my earbuds in and just kind of listened to some music while we were planting and painting and doing all these projects. So let me walk you through what's going on. So this bed, I'm going to be planting 2 cabbage plants in this bed. So we started these from seed together, and they've been growing in my grow room area in my basement. And then in the last 2 weeks, I've been hardening them off by leaving them outside for longer and longer and longer. And now they are able to be outside through the cold weather. They'll be okay if a slight frost happens, but if a deep freeze, if it was getting down into the low 20s or something, I would definitely protect them a little bit, but they're totally fine to be out there. We are about 5 weeks away from my average last frost date, so they are totally fine. So what I'm doing is planting 2 of these in this bed, and I'm adding Trifecta Plus, which is an organic slow release fertilizer from MI Gardner. I love Trifecta Plus, and so I'm planting these, and I'm planting them, giving them enough space that they can kind of touch each other and hold each other up, but they have room to spread out and get some room to get nice big heads on them. And then I'm going ahead and moving everything out of the way, watering them in, and then I'm going to put the brassica cages that we built together. I like to have brassica cages around all the things that the cabbage moths would like to land on and eat. So the cabbage moths are the white spring, they come out in the spring, but they're all summer long. The white moths or butterflies, they're moths that land on your plants, and they lay hundreds of eggs, and those eggs hatch into those green worm caterpillars that you can't hardly see because they blend right in, and they eat your entire crop. And they love broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and all the things. So I do like to plant my brassicas inside the brassica cages. Now, right on the other side of that, after we got them watered in, we are planting our spring peas. So these peas I had soaking overnight in a mason jar, and this is a mixture of peas that we actually saved the seeds from last year. And so we've got some blush peas and some snow peas and just a whole bunch of snap peas and this is the perfect time to plant them. They do get eaten by the birds and all this stuff. So I tend to plant about twice as many as I need, but I do like a nice thick planting anyway. So these are going to grow right up this trellis, and these are going to be perfect. We are going to enjoy them for a little longer than we normally would, actually, because this area kind of gets just a little bit of shade once the next crop gets planted. On the other side of this trellis, we'll be planting cucumbers in a few weeks, and so they will grow up and kind of offer a little bit of shade protection so the peas won't get burnt out by the sun as quickly as they normally would. So we've got these planted, and then I realized, oops, I forgot my Trifecta Plus. So I sprinkled a little bit of Trifecta Plus over the top of them, and then I sprinkled a little bit of soil just to have the Trifecta Plus be worked into the soil, watered them in, and then we moved on to the next one. Now, I do also have celery plants that we started. Only one of them was big enough to put in on this day. I have 2 more that I just kind of want to grow for another week or so before I plant them out. So I'm just going to plant the one that it's the largest. Celery takes a long time to grow, and we started this from seed several weeks ago together, maybe 2 months ago almost together. So we're planting out this celery, and this is an area in between 2 trellises. So I try not to plant things that I need to harvest often from there. I did in the past try putting like lettuce and stuff there because this is a little bit shaded in a cooler area, a little microclimate in there. But I think this works better for something like celery or Brussels sprouts or something that you're not going to harvest often. So we've got our celery planted in here, and then I get it watered in, made sure it had Trifecta Plus, and then we are going to move on to the raised bed that is right next to the chicken coop, where we're going to be planting the last 2 cabbages in the ground and getting that covered with a brassica cage as well. So at the end of the season last fall, I went ahead and added azomite and humic acid to all of the beds that we grow in. And then I also went ahead and put a silage tarp over all of the beds that didn't have something that was overwintering. Like if they had garlic or elephant garlic or shallots or herbs that were perennials, then I didn't cover them with silage tarps, but everything else I did. So when I go to plant right now, I'm peeling back off the silage tarps. And if I remember, I'll peel them off right before a day that it's going to rain so that the bed can get rehydrated again. But in this case, on this bed, I actually forgot to pull this silage tarp off. So I went ahead and pulled the whole silage tarp off, planted the cabbages, added the trifecta, and watered them in and put the cage over this half of the bed. And then I went ahead and actually re-added the silage tarp back to the other half of the bed, because the way the silage tarp works is it's got a black side and a white side. And when the white side is on touching the soil underneath, it actually warms up, and then the things like weeds will germinate and then get smothered out. And so I wanted to make sure I kept that side of the bed that wasn't having anything planted in it covered, so that if there are weeds or anything that fell from last year's crops, they'll germinate and get smothered out, so that we have a nice area to be planting in. I think I'm going to plant green beans. I'm not sure what I'm going to plant on this side of the bed yet exactly, but I wanted to make sure that it was ready for me to plant. And then I went ahead and after I got the silage tarp all spread out, I went ahead and opened up all the bags of the mulch and got it all spread out on the back side of the coop so that it is ready for me when I am ready to plant back there. So I put the silage tarp back on this side of the bed. We have our cabbages planted on this side of the bed. We have all of our fence panels painted. And we have our cabbage and celery planted on the other side of the garden. That's going to do it for me today, you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today while we planted up our spring veggies and we got our fence panels painted. I want to thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments and the shares. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing and gardening and projects and fun stuff to do. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks so much, my friend. Bye.